Recheck it. Okay, it's still good. Just a really quick check. Is it because I only trust locators? No, it's because it's easy to check. And it should be green, even to the locator. But when you're doing these manual movements, now we still had the curve and we had construction history. So that's one thing. So the last thing that we're going to do is the first thing that I said I was going to do, but since we have to break history for it, I actually kept it to last. And that is fixing this deviation. And I'm going to give myself more checkpoints to smooth out the comb, and the scale of the comb seems about right. And let's try and see this. So we already had a pretty good suspicion of what we needed to change. It's a depth thing. Now this boundary is going to be important too, because we are going to have to move a CV that's you know, this one or something, or maybe that one. Anyway, it's got curvature to this boundary, so we're going to have to be careful. Again, the peak of the comb is right here, so the biggest deviation is right there. So if we follow that down, it seems to be around this region, which would be that. And let's see here. Well, no, it's not that. It's these. I mean, this is just bad. Okay. Here for this, I am going to turn the performance options on. Guess I'm going to have to live with that. So let's try and NUV this. Yes, we want to kill the history now. Well, it is on. And this is way too huge. We want a very, very small step size. And you can see, as I'm dragging, the history updates. So the during transform is on. I just don't know why it's grayed out. Look how much better that's gotten. Just because this CV was too low. And then this CV is too low too. There, I think that's acceptable. We still have curvature continuity to this boundary. And this CV I want to slide a little bit up. There we go. Now that has substantially improved the situation. Now these are good, which was the peak of the curvature discontinuity, but now we still have one here. Now generally the angle CVs tend to be more sensitive than the curvature CVs, so I'm going to have to move angle CVs that are already good for this boundary in order to satisfy this boundary. So that's tricky. But I'm going to try it anyway, and I'm not just going to move it at random. I'm going to see and look at my CVs. And yeah, it dipped down a bit. Oh, but it's very subtle. It's very slight. Not sure what this is going to do. Ooh, I push it out and it actually gets worse. That was not what I was expecting. Okay, so I had to pull it down even more. So maybe I pull this one down a bit too. And this one just a little bit down as well to follow that flow. That's what I was expecting. So now this boundary is not looking good. And do you see why we didn't want to do this all the way at the beginning when we were making every separate surface? You don't want to spend 2 hours fixing boundary comb locators everywhere, because you'll go crazy. You only want to do it where it's really necessary. So we have the curvature. Yeah, I'm never going to get this fixed without fixing the pillar surf. So now I have to decide what's best. These are small discontinuities, but it's an important one because this is where the highlight is going to flow. So I'm going to see whether I can't fix this slightly. I can see that my angle, now this locator has gone a little bad because I don't even have tangency at a certain spot. So then I tend to just put it on tangency. So all I see is the tangency discontinuity. And thankfully, it's not going to be a problem for us because these CVs were slightly wrong. This CV and this CV was slightly wrong, which had a bit of a yo-yo effect, a push and tug effect, which made this boundary check out within tolerance. But it wasn't good for this boundary, again within tolerance. So I can see that really I have to move this one around, and it's not going to affect this boundary at all, at least not up to the point of tangency and curvature continuity. So I can just move this, and I think I'm actually moving it down. So remember, I moved them up slightly to follow the flow. Well, that wasn't a good idea. So I don't know what I want. I think I'm going to go for the continuity. It looks pretty good. Okay, this dips down too much, but I'm not going to be able to do anything there unless I edit the parent surf. You see the parent surface doesn't have the greatest CVs either. Partly because it's got a natural boundary and it's not overbuilt. A pillar like this, I think you could overbuild it, and the hulls would be a little bit less all over the place. So we've got tangency on there. Now let's go for curvature continuity. And this tells us that here's the maximum deviation of curvature, so that's this one, and that might be a bit trickier. So let's try NUV. Ooh. Okay, that's okay, because I need to fix, oh, see, yeah. The curvature columns are very important. You see, I'm just pushing and tugging, and I'm changing where the column says the deviation is. And I've got curvature, yeah, that's pretty good. And then all we have, so this is completely sorted out, and now all we have is this spike. I'm going to be honest with you, I tried to fix this before I did the recording, and it wasn't as easy as I thought. It's this tiny, ridiculous spike, this single little bit. I'm not going to worry about it, you know? I don't have another half an hour to get this fixed if I were in a real studio. Yeah, sure, the locator turns up red. Ooh, it turns up red. But check it out. I mean, it's great all across, except this tiny little spike. And it's not even a huge deviation. So I'm going to settle for that. So I believe that we have rounded off our C-pillar blend. In a three-part series, we first talked about curves, then we made surfaces using the awesome square tool, and we slid the hulls around using object edit align, and of course the square's construction history. And now we've evaluated the surface using isoangle shading, using curvature evaluation, using the showroom and other related sort of real-life shaders. And we've also just taken a look at the CV hull. Now, because we've lost history, I want to do something I've wanted to do for a very long time. I look at these CVs, and this needs to slide down, alright? But for some strange reason, the continuity always kept this at this angle. So I could slide it up or down all I wanted. I always had this angle, and it disturbs me. So I'm going to fix that, because it should be easy. So I'm going to use the non-proportional view scale again, and I'm going to make it fat and wide. And, you know, I can see why. You know, this is in a line, which indicates tangency. But we've got a radial distribution of CVs. So really what I want, if I can do it, I mean, I'm going to save first, and if it screws up the continuity or something at the boundary, when I put the locator back on, then I'm going to move it back. Yes, I want to kill the construction history. So you see my manipulator's gotten pretty small with this non-proportional view scale thing. But see what I'm talking about? The flow of the hull is completely radial this way. You can see on this boundary it's linear too. I mean, it is linear, but it's not linear. I mean, if I were to draw an EP curve on here, degree 2, from this edit point to that edit point. You see, it's still linear, but it's not linear, it's coplanar, if that makes any sense. So it's not linear with the position CV all in one row, like it is over here, but it's still coplanar with each other, just the tangent CVs alone. So it should be okay, but the construction history doesn't like to do that. And sure as hell, in most cases, you shouldn't be doing this. But here we've got such a radial distribution of CVs. Okay, this is a little finicky. Yep, right there. Pick nothing. And we just keep on trucking. Okay, I really don't want to overdo it though. This is more for my own paranoia than anything else. Okay, pretty good. And then these. You can see how the non-proportional view scale makes it really easy to judge. Now, it can also make it... Ooh, I seem to have a slight gap there, but it's within tolerance, I think. I'll see. Ta-ta! So I'm going to turn perspective back on, and first thing I'm going to do is check whether I didn't, like, seriously destroy something. Oh, I seriously destroyed something. But only, like, at the top here, where it had to move a lot, I assume. The CVs don't seem to be completely on top of each other. Oh, no, that's the curve CV. Okay, I'm going to pick the curve and turn off its CV hull, because it's getting in the way. Okay, this is just a slight little problem. I can fix that. Put locators on the other two boundaries, and maybe this is now an NUV problem. So it's a depth thing. Yeah, see, it's a depth thing. I pushed an NUV up and down, but that didn't... So basically sliding it like this fixed something, but it destroyed something else, but that something else also needed fixing. So if you fix one thing, something might break, but that actually means that, oh, this other thing I have to fix as well. Because again, you've got the yo-yo effect. One bad CV and another bad CV on opposite ends of each other can make a good edge or a good transition, but that doesn't make it right. So it's tricky. It's without a doubt tricky. Tricky as hell. Okay, I like this, but you see, without the non-proportional view scale, it's a very small change. Of course, you put on the non-proportional view, and it seems like I moved it like 15 millimeters, but maybe I moved it like 1/10 of a millimeter, if that. So I leave you with the showroom shader on here, and actually, I'm not. I'm going to leave you with the ISO angle shader. And I hope that you've enjoyed this series. It was primarily on hull alignment, but we ended up talking about a lot of stuff, didn't we? So let's see, my manipulator seems to be hiding from me. Multi-manipulator. I'm going to put the bands a little bit down. Okay, I don't know what's going on over here. Okay, but it was just not updating. So, I'm going to just move it around real slow. And I leave you with that. So, I've been Kevin Smet, a student at Learning Alias. We have talked about hull alignment in a 3-part series to construct a upper-class concept fully blended C-pillar on an Audi A5-like vehicle, if you will. And I hope that you've learned something, enjoyed something. Any comments, any feedback would be highly appreciated. And see you around.